Okay, moving over to our second speaker. When I saw this bio, I was wow, Miss Mrs. LMS DK Esquire, F FCI arbitration, ACIS, is an attorney and counsel at law, Nigeria and New York, USA, the Chief Executive Officer of the Legal Counsel, at the Legal Counsel, a firm that provides tech services and training to the legal industry, the convener of the Young Wigs Conference at Young Wigs Conference, and the founder of the Legal S App. She is well known for her expertise in legal technology, VC negotiation, startup growth, and entrepreneurship, and has spoken on various topics and has also featured in various podcasts and radio stations. She is a global AI member and an award-winning tech lawyer named as Africa's top 50 individuals in legal innovation in 2020 and in 2021. Winner of Ultimate EcoBank International Entrepreneurship Reality Series, Lions Den 2021. She's also the nominee. She was also the nominee of the Woman of the Year Tech 2021. Winner. She's also the winner of top 50 female leading lawyers 2022. She's a Fortune Male 100 Africa's influential women in legal profession. She was a mentee in Tony Elumelu Mentorship Group 2022. She's also the winner of 40 Under 40 Africa 2023, as well as a mentor on the Venture Capital for Africa platform. She's a chartered arbitrator, a chartered company secretary, an expert in boardroom, corporate governance, commercial law, labor law, and human resources management. She has a master's degree in business administration, and she has served in various leadership roles, including the head of legal services and technical contracting on the oil mining lease, WML 55 oil and gas exploration, production, and national legal advisor of various national boards. The message commands command of knowledge in legal business development and technology has enabled her to solve three problems in the legal sector: design innovation in legal practice, creativity among young lawyers, and market connectivity for lawyers. Over the years, these innovations navigations resulted into the creation of the mobile app LegalX, which is a one-stop platform for a one-stop platform that enables lawyers provide big instant services through the use of technology, as well as ensuring access to legal services in bite-sized affordable variation, thus enhancing the common mass access to justice. Aside from her accomplishments and professional accomplishments, aside from her academic and professional accomplishments, she has a deeper passion for community development. In her spare time, she channels her passion for sustainable societal development through the education of young players via a project called the Young Wiz Conference, which analyzes the convergence of law, business, and technology. The target focus of this Young Wiz Conference are young players living low on the pyramid of scale and working in the hinterlands of Nigeria. 9 editions of the annual Young Wiz Week Conference have been held in places like Kano, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos. The conference originally started as a 13-member person, has now grown into a 12,000 strong community with annual gathering and is the highlight of the year for young lawyers. Through this conference, the foundation has awarded several tuition scholarships to law students. The limited details community development extends to women empowerment as evidenced by our pet project called Project Streets, which started as a 100-level undergraduate university. Our project provided food and money to the indigent living in this place, popularly known as Underbridge in Yaba, that should be Lagos. This eventually extended into River State environment, where she collaborated with her friends and family to educate women in various businesses such as soap making, sewing, and the art of sales. Project 6 often provide money, clothing, and food to the indigent widow members of the community. Our goal is to spread light to nations, bring people into the kingdom of Christ, and have fun while doing it. That is, you are highly welcome. Wow. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction.
Highly recommend. Okay, so let's dive straight into the business of the day. I would love to start with Mr. Abdurrahman Tunde.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me, sir? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, thanks, sir. So
Yeah.
let's start with the big picture. So from your work at Zenith and as an operator of Seton, what are the biggest security risks Nigerian law firms face when adopting electronic signatures, and how can tech help mitigate them? Did you get the question, sir?
Sorry, I can't hear you again. I'm not sure if it's my network or yours.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you take it again? I couldn't hear you.
Okay, sir. So I asked, what's
Yeah.
from your work at Zenith as an operator of Seton, what are the biggest cybersecurity risks Nigerian law
Yeah.
firms face when adopting electronic signatures, and how can they mitigate them?
Okay. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, to be among one of the most noble profession in the country. So, yes, to answer the question, the cybersecurity risk that law firms actually face these days, or right now with the advent of technology, as we are all aware, pre-COVID, we don't use technology that much. But after COVID, it opened our eyes to a lot of things, right? Which means that there are most processes that are actually manual can actually be automated. That's when we now start having meetings online. We have a whole lot of automations, which means that we have much more data to process on the internet. So this has actually make our life easier, but on the other side, it has also come with some cybersecurity risks, which include especially for law firm, like a phishing attack or social engineering attack, whereby someone will try to trick you to get sensitive information from you, probably maybe your username, your password, your credit card information, and other stuff like that. Another major cyber risk that is more prevalent due to this due to the fact that we are using technology much more is data breaches, which can lead to the disclosure of sensitive information. Most especially law firms deal with confidential information, and this makes law firm a target for cyber criminals, right? So data breach, and this data breach can occur maybe from vulnerability from third parties. It can be due to insider threats, maybe intentional or unintentional due to maybe a negligence of one of the employee. So these are some of the risks. Okay, a good example is a ransomware attack whereby the data of that particular organization could be encrypted, and then you will not be able to have access to those particular information. So these are some of the major risks that that law firms and law and legal professionals are actually exposed to as a result of the fact that we do things more online than we used to before.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So how do law firms mitigate those risks? We have the phishing, we have social engineering, we mentioned insider threats, and others. How do law firms tackle those threats?
Yeah, so one of the best way to tackle most of these threats is regular cybersecurity training for employees or for legal professionals, right? Because studies have shown that between 80 to 90% of our successful attack are as a result of human error, So it's very key and it's very important to ensure that there is regular cybersecurity training for employees and for legal professionals. Another way that all this can be mitigated is also to make sure that you have a clear and structured security policy within the organization, cybersecurity policy. So when you have a clear and structured cybersecurity policy within the organization, employee will be able to know the do's and the don'ts, okay, to make sure that they protect the information infrastructure of the organization. Another thing law firms can also do is to conduct periodic phishing campaign within the organization. Okay, so when you conduct periodic phishing campaign, you get to know the employees or people within the organization or within the profession, that's because as a result of the training, you are training them on how to identify phishing links and phishing mails, right? So when you do simulated phishing attack, you'll be able to know the people that have been able to know what phishing is, and people that will still fall for those for the phishing attack. And then with that, you can send them for a refresher course, or you put them on another training to ensure that they really understand what phishing is all about. So another thing that organizations can do is to ensure that there is a proper cybersecurity awareness campaign within the organization or within the association. So you can use internal communication to send newsletters, to send recent threats, so that people will be able to know. They'll be able to know the new threats that are actually coming up within the cyberspace, right? So there are a whole lot of controls. Another thing is to ensure that you implement the right security tools, right? You use encryption to encrypt the data. You send secure email. Okay, so you can actually send secure email. You use there are different levels of encryption that you can use when you are trying to send email, right? And then also you can also use a digital certificate for emails to ensure that the email is actually coming from the person that is claiming to send the email. So some of these services, or most of these services that I actually mentioned, are actually being provided by Accendit, which is the organization I work with, right? So yeah, so there are a whole lot of mitigation techniques. So I just touch on the most common of them.
Thank you so much. You have a very wide array of experience in cybersecurity. I really appreciate that. So, Mrs. Inemeset, can you hear me, ma'am? I'm sorry if I'm not just pronouncing that.
Yes,
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you also hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. I can hear you, ma'am. So from your app, your legal S app, you have been exposed to online legal services. So I don't know if you would like to share any of the challenges that you have faced in taking care, or in any challenges that you might have faced in executing the app. Hello, ma, can you hear me? Hello?
I apologize. I probably got off. I didn't quite get your question though.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Is it clear or not?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Okay. So I said from
What was your question, please?
Okay, ma'am. So you are the co-founder of the Legal S app, a platform that offers young lawyers the opportunity render legal services to people, especially to people in the hinterlands. And I, I would like you to expound on if there are any areas where you have faced cybersecurity threats, as we carry on this, as we render any services online, really help.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So I'm going to just backtrack a bit so that I can give some background so that we can understand what my response is going to be. So my work is within the confluence of law, business, and technology. I do encourage lawyers, like in forums like this, and be able to think like entrepreneurs. If you think like entrepreneurs, you also protect your law firm like entrepreneurs. So for our clients that you're protecting, you're working with, how do they think? What are their needs? But can we preempt or forecast some sort of prevention strategy? So I work in that space, and artificial intelligence as well as cybersecurity has become. So before we go down to the app, let us talk about what we naturally would use in the legal services industry. Legal services industries most of the time, the first port of call for clients that are not known to us would be through our websites, right? During a survey that we had undertaken, I think in 2023, we found out that most law firm websites are not, they don't have SSLs on them. They just have those basic websites, and the websites are not even hosted by their own servers. So you hardly see a website that is hosted on your own server. And what do I mean by that? If you host your website on your own server, you have access to your back end, which is called your cPanel. It gives you the ability to, control and install antivirus, be able to have first-hand interaction if there's malware coming in and things like that. So I need us to talk about that firstly, because that's the first engagement people see. From Instagram, it goes to the website. From Twitter, it goes to the website, or people just Google your name up and they see you as the principal partner. First thing is the website before they now get your phone number and they engage with you. There's been there are lots of gaps that still exist, especially within the legal services industry as well. And I want to say this, as well as within the MBA branches. Because when we did this survey, we did it not just across law firms and law firms that have partnerships and individual law firms. It's also across the MBA branches that exist. Do you have your own existing law website? If yes, do they have proper security certificates on them and things like that? And not just having that, also when they expire, can you manage all of that, right? So that was one of the first things that we noticed. Wow, and after they're having all this engagement. Now, what we had done with the LegalX app was, it was not just for young lawyers, but at the time that we had created this idea, the ideation stage was in 2016, 2017. It was about really solving the problem that I was a parent and I had 3 children under the age of 4. I needed to be able to work and manage, have some sort of semblance of work-life balance. That's how the concept came up. And we now created a product that provides services for lawyers, just like, ride-hailing services, Uber, Lyft, name it, right? That's how we started. So the idea there is for you to be able to, as a lawyer, be able to stay wherever you are in the world. If you're at home or you jackpot because your husband has moved, you'll be able to provide legal services. In the process of building this product, we were looking for people in Nigeria who could, like I said, it was 2016, 2017, to build this product. We found out that people in Nigeria or developers in Nigeria would tell you yes, but they really didn't have security skills apart from the ones that are security and build their technical skills apart from the financial sector. Nothing really existed for the legal sector. We now started looking for people on the outside, and that's where we bumped into the knowledge that we needed to have ISO 27001. Now, that brings us back to the initial backdrop that I mentioned. How many lawyers, law firms are ISO certified? How many of us want to be? Do we think that it is something that our clients are unaware of? That's why we are not providing that service? Or is it the moment that our clients start saying, no, I'm going to give this big brief to a law firm that's ISO 27001 certified, then we now start looking to how to, we now want to jump on the bandwagon and run the race? So when we did that survey, we had a lot of conversations with law firms, legal departments, not just law firms, but with legal departments. with schools down to my alma mater, which is University of Lagos, to talk to them about how we can bring in practical experiences of teaching this in schools, teaching this in law school. We can't change the curriculum, but we can pique the interest of people. We discovered that unless lawyers feel that clients would pay less or move to another law firm because of that, lawyers were not really interested in improving their own cybersecurity, firewalls, their protection, their antivirus. They didn't say it directly, but they didn't feel like it was worth the expense, no matter how small it was, even if it was for just one website. So that had been our experience so far. So what we did with our app was that we pivoted the app outside Nigeria. So now what the app and the website actually focuses on doing is we've now changed the name, is now focused on, international clients. What we are doing right now is focusing on improving trade regulations and compliance using artificial intelligence on our platform. So we are able to get lawyers from, name the countries, Kenya, Malawi, different countries, whether they live in Kenya or not, whether they live in Malawi or not, who are more interested in being able to keep up with the criteria, which is they are self-aware, they are cybersecurity aware, they have gone through cybersecurity trainings, artificial intelligence trainings that are certified, so that they can jump on the platform and be able to provide services to international clients. These international clients are looking for people who are quick, who are able, who are certifiedly able, not just that we say we are experts, like we'll have a lot of, we can talk comfortably here because we are lawyers, right? So you find that a lot of lawyers will come in and say, oh, I'm a tech lawyer. But where's the certification that supports that? Where is your learning that supports that? So we found out during our engagement that within the legal industry in Nigeria, we're not really getting a lot of, should we say, we're not really getting a lot of piqued interest. We'll get a lot of interest, but when it comes to time to actually put the money where the mouth is and pay so that you can be certified or you can move a bit ahead of your peers, Nigerian legal firms have not really caught up with the train as well as it is in other countries, especially South Africa, Kenya, and then we are having a lot of feedback right now from Uganda on the African continent. And in the GCC, there's also a bit more, a lot more interest within GCC, and the clients are more within Europe who want to do. Can you hear me? What did you say?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you, but
did you ask me a question? Please repeat.
hello, can you?
I'm struggling to hear you, Sodago. I don't know if I'm just the only one or.
Okay. I said I can hear you, but I can't see you. I can't see you on the screen.
Oh, you can't see me on the screen. Oh.
Yes.
Can you see me now? Is it better?
Oh, I can't see you. No, it's back. I don't know if it's just me or sorry, okay, yeah, it's better now. I can see you now.
You can see me now. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I think that I hope that answers the question that in our experience, it had not been very welcoming. While I was the digital MBA chairperson, we did our best to try to have like engaging webinars, talk to people, do grassroots, talk to people to enlighten them about the consequences of not being abreast of what is going on, and also try to communicate that cybersecurity and artificial intelligence was not very difficult to learn and participate. But I can be honest here and say to you that most of the feedback that we were getting were people be so excited at first, once it's free information, but once they have to, like just pay a little token in order to activate either maybe like an antivirus on their website, or even to do a cybersecurity training on their law firms, or just, from your phones to all your devices. If you want to work remotely, how do you do that? Many people were not willing to take the second step. And I said many people in Nigeria were not willing to take the second step. So that had been our experience so far. But I'm excited about what the SLP is doing. hopefully that there'll be a lot more people on this call. We have quite a number on the call today. We are hopeful that after this, law firms would put that as part of the budgets, as part of the training budget, as well as, encourage lawyers who have come to trainings that have practical experience now and give them as an incentive for something forward. So we need to see a lot more traction in that aspect. So that's, I hope I answered that question.
Yes, no, you did. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's move further. Let's move further to Mr. Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman, sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
so sorry to interrupt, please.
So-
The tech series poll is out there. If we could just answer the questions, because I think it would also help this engagement today, so we know exactly what the audience has in mind, or the experience of the audience so far, so it could help. So I just wanted to chip that in for you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Hello, sir, Abdurrahman. So, basically, we are having series of document forgery, and then thank God for the electronic signature.
Hello.
And yes, sir, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I said, lately we were having document forgery, cases of document forgery has been on the rise. I mean, we appreciate God for the initiative of the NBA chairman who initiated the NBA electronic seal, and also we've also initiated electronic signature. So my question is, can blockchain and other emerging technologies, make them even stronger for legal practice in Nigeria?
Sorry, I didn't hear you at the beginning. I'm sorry, if you can take the question again.
Okay. I said the question is, can blockchain and other emerging technologies make electronic signatures even stronger in Nigeria?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. All right, so before we go into the blockchain, I think it's important for me to be able for us to talk about electronic signature and also digital identity for people, right? So that we can be able to link them together. All right, so it's important for us, it's important for us to be able to have digital identity, which can be linked to a digital signature, right? So what do I mean? If you are being issued a digital signature, right? We have two types of digital signature, right? So the first type is the qualified digital signature, and then the second type is the unqualified digital signature. So for the unqualified digital signature, it's not, we don't do proper, they don't do proper checks before those particular signatures can be issued. So how do I mean? If you have used a service like DocuSign or SignNow, you will see that you can just register, like you can just log in, you can just go to the website, create a profile, and use whatever name. You can use your name, you can use someone else's name to get a signature, and you can sign it, right? But with qualified digital signature, right? So we have an individual who is having an identity previously. So for you to be able to get a qualified digital signature, we have to use one of your ID card, which is which at the point of enrollment, your biometrics has been taken. So that's a digital identity. So for example, your BVN, your NIN is a digital identity. Your international passport is a digital identity because it's a document, right, before the document was issued to you, they have taken your biodata, your biometrics, and that particular document is issued to you. Okay, so now that particular document will now be used to give you a certificate, which is going to be linked to your digital signature. So that is how digital signature works, and this helps us to ensure trust, because now before the signature will be given to you, we have to confirm the validity of that particular ID card identity that you are presenting to be sure that you are the person you are claiming to be, right? And then we are going to issue you a digital certificate tied to that particular identity, tied to your digital identity. So whenever you use that particular certificate to sign a document, right? That particular document can be traced to you. Okay, so that means you cannot say that means you can't do non-repudiation. You cannot deny that you are not the one that used that particular signature to sign that particular document, because you already have your digital identity has already been linked to that particular signature. And to touch on what Inemesek mentioned about the website, right? So it's also very important to know that SSL is not just SSL, right? We have different level of SSL certificate. You have the free ones, which are not actually linked to any identity. So we have 3 classes of of digital certificate that can be used on website. We have what we call the domain validation certificate. So for that domain validation, for you to be issued that certificate, what they are going to check is just to know that you control the domain. So they are not going to check any identity, right? So that means anybody can have a domain validation certificate. But when you go to the website, you show you this particular website is secured by this certificate, but it's a domain validation certificate. So it brings me to the next one that is actually linked to a digital identity. So that is called an organization validation certificate. So an organization validation certificate is actually essential to build trust, most especially for law firms and other corporate entities, right? We need to be able to know that certificate is not certificate. So for organization validation certificate, at the point where you're going to be issued that particular certificate, you need an individual with a valid means of identification who is going to, on behalf of the organization, request for that particular certificate, right? So we are going to verify the identity of that person. We are going to verify the authenticity of the company. We're going to check the CAC document of the company to verify that that particular company is existing, okay, before the organization validation certificate is going to be issued. So once you have an organization validation certificate on your website, that helps to build trust, because now users that visit your website will be able to know that, okay, this particular organization is not faceless. They have people. The organization has been verified by a certificate authority or a CA, which we are one in Nigeria. We are the only certificate authority with physical presence in the country where we do our verification, we show our certificate in the country. So we can be able to verify your organization, and if anything goes wrong, we can be able to say, okay, yes, this particular certificate is issued to this website and is requested for by Mr. So and so. So in that instance, we are able to link a digital identity of someone to a digital asset, be it your website, be it a document, be it your signature. We are able to link a digital identity of someone to a digital asset. So with that, we are able to build trust, right? Because trust is all we need on the internet. If there is no trust, you will not be able to, for example, you can go on a website, they ask you for your details, your name, your date of birth, and stuff like that. If you don't trust that particular organization to be able to hold your information, you will not be able to give them. So digital certificates, digital identity help us to be able to build trust. So I hope I've been able to touch on that. Yeah,
Yes, sir, that was a lot. That was very fascinating. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me say it. This question is for you. I would love us to clarify something very, very crucial for our audience. Hello, Ma, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think my network is a bit
Okay,
unstable, so it's best for me not to have my video on because it keeps logging me out.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I would like you to explain the key difference between a simple electronic signature and a digital signature, and why this distinction matters in legal practice.
Okay, thank you for that question. I was going to mention, so the first speaker, Mr. Abdurrahman, has already mentioned, like the introduction of that is. So really, an electronic signature is just any symbol mark that represents you, right? I can create now using my first name, middle name, and surname and decide that that should be my electronic signature. You can have an electronic signature for a child. You can have, it's really anything, whether it's your regular signature you use for banking and you scan it up and that's what you decide to use, or you want to create a digital image, or you want to just use it as your electronic signature. that is whatever you're signing on an electronic device, that is an electronic signature. It's very simple. It can be from my initials is IJD. It can just be as simple as that, IJD. You can use that really on regular, like for example, most of our work is done remotely, right? So if a staff wants to execute an internal memo, the staff can just sign off on it on the phone using it like simple tools like Adobe PDF Filler, fill and sign, all those DocuSign, very simple things for internal memos. And all he needs to do is just indicate his electronic signature that we are used to. So that's what, and its security level is very low. There's no inbuilt verification. If there's somebody else that in the world that has the same, I'm sure there is, that has the same what's it called, initials as myself, the person can sign the same thing and there'll be actually no difference between me, a male, and somebody else who may be using the same name. So yes, is it going to be legally valid? Yes, it is legally valid. You cannot say that because it's easily initiated that it's not legal. It's legal, but it is not tamper-proof. You can use this on very simple things. Use it as sign at the bottom of your email. I like all of us have the regular signatures. Well, I hope that all of us have the regular signatures that go with every email that goes out, right? Some of us have crafted it, and put it out on those emails. So you can use that for that. You can use it for just regular internal memos and things like that. But the digital signatures, like has been alluded to in the initial conversation, are signatures that are verifiable by a certified authority. Now you can choose whichever certified authority that you would like to use, but they're going to ask you, there's going to be a lot of due diligence that is in place. And I like to use practical examples, and I talk about what I had to go through when we're expanding our company out of Nigeria. So when we're expanding to the GCC, as we're expanding to the UK and into the US, they didn't just take my word for it and say, oh, because I presented my international passport, that is good and enough. No, I had to go through the proper due diligence processes, get certified. Or, you put a particular signature, they'll verify that if that's your bank signature. And they would do things like I can't remember what's called. They'll send you an app. You have to click it, hold the phone in a particular way to scan your eyes, your retina, to scan it to be sure that what it is that the person you say you are is who you say you are. And they will ask you to make different facial movements just for you to be able to verify. So you have to go through some levels of due diligence in order for you to get like an electronic signature, or for you to even be able to be verified, for you to be able to expand into other countries. Now, I think the second half of your question would be, what does that mean for lawyers and law firms? Now, for us, if you're going to play in the Nigerian space, a Nigerian client is not as fully aware of what they can demand from us as lawyers, right? But with the purpose of this webinar is for us to be ahead I'm not sure why I keep getting logged. My network is really crazy. I'm so sorry about that. So for the benefit, I hope you can hear me. Please, can you just say hey so I can confirm it from head?
Yes, please. You know.
Yeah, okay. So for the purpose of this call today, we are here, all of us are lawyers. I would like to just draw attention to the cybersecurity guideline that was done by the Digital MBA, and it was circulated at the time. What the cybersecurity guideline does to bring awareness, not just on what needs to be done, but how you can do it, and to make sure that as little, no matter the size of your law firm, if it is just you, or if it is, we have a partnership, or it is above 15 and above, you can take steps in order for these your cybersecurity awareness to be higher. So like the initial speaker was speaking to it, what are the things that we need to do? First of all, will be trainings, attend webinars like this. But in addition to that, let's break it down to what the law firms really need and what the lawyers really need. Now that COVID has happened, we are really working from our phones. So how many of us, I know most of us now have, initiated the two-factor authentication, but we still have issues where people are still getting hacked and they're reaching out to us and things like that. When they get hacked and you say, oh, your number has been hacked, we don't really consider the fact that our clients can actually sue us for data breach, because your engagement is on your WhatsApp. So if your WhatsApp has been hacked, what it automatically means is that any client who has engaged with you, maybe from the period of 2024 until 2025, at the period of that, you are now exposed to being sued by your client. Whether there's evidence that the data breach has affected the client or not, you are now exposed to that. That's why legal practitioners outside the country have insurance to protect them from this kind of, it's not malpractice if you are attacked, but protect them from this kind of situations. So the cybersecurity guidelines speaks to things like that. How do you protect yourself immediately if your phone is hacked? But what if your phone is not hacked and you're caught in a situation where it has been stolen from you? Your access to your official website or your official email engagement is on your phone. I have on my phone now, I have my personal Gmail account is separate. I have a Gmail account for my company, which is separate. I also have an official email that is hosted on our servers. It's also on my phone, on a particular phone. So what can I do? What is activated immediately if a phone is stolen? What do you do initially? You should have another device that already has two-factor authentication that you can log in on that automatically and ask it to log you out of all devices. That's the first thing. But our initial response to crisis is always panic. In that panic, we've given enough time for damage to have been done. And I would like to just stress something here. We often think that when there's a cybersecurity breach, right? Maybe people are looking for money. Maybe your client has to be a big politician or somebody. No, maybe they're not looking for money. Maybe they are looking for data. And I'll give physical examples, right? A client was going through, not my client, but a client was going through a divorce, right? And this person has, clout in the society. He engages his lawyer, and they're having a conversation. Oh, the lawyer is trying to get him to do the right thing, pay child support, take care of your children. And the client is going off, and talking and talking and talking. He has the right to believe that there's client privilege, right? But it's a chat message. It's a chat on WhatsApp, right? Now, the lawyer inadvertently exposes that conversation. Now, he didn't get hacked. Why he exposed the conversation? Because he was on a train and he was reading it, and he was not aware of open desk and open phone policy. So to be able to prevent that, all that information was taken, captured, screenshot, and then put out on the blogs. Who else would the client go to believe that had intentionally breached his data? Was there a data breach? It's the lawyer. The lawyer doesn't have anybody to call back to say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So these are things that the cybersecurity guideline takes you step by step for you to say, look, what are the things you need to do when it comes to open desk policy as you and as an individual person first? Can you be sitting down and typing something that has to do with the lawyer and you're not aware if somebody's looking over your shoulder? Do you have different folders in your phone? Which I do. I have different folders in my phone that I can this is a work folder. You cannot open that work folder except if you have a particular passcode on the phone, even down to the very apps that you're using on the phone. Do you know that simple information such as to say that, oh, your client is on Bumble or is on Tinder, it's public information because the client is there, right? But then you are the person that is leaking that information inadvertently. You can be liable for that breach. So everything that we are talking about today is directed to that. Let me just also mention what we had also done on the cybersecurity guideline. The cybersecurity guideline, apart from your own personal protection and guideline, what you need to do as a lawyer, it helps you to, for example, know if your passwords are strong or not, as simple as that. So you may have a password and your password is in MSDK. Anybody can, after 2 or 3 or 5 guesses, can guess that. But if you have a password that has, first of all, you can see it on some of the platforms that we go on. It should have a capital letter. And most times when we have the capital letter, we now start the password with a capital letter because we want to remember. Please, let's not do that. Let's have the capital letter in the middle or the third to the last figure letter in the password. It should also have a sign. You can use the $sign, you can use the exclamation sign, and it should also have to be one. Most of the time you say, oh, we need to have a sign, you just take one sign. You can double it, but don't double it together. So for example, you can see how the automation, the AI often generates passwords to give you. Take one that you know is personal to you, and you can use it across certain platforms. Please do not repeat your platform, your password across many platforms. I know that it's difficult for us to remember, but there are some software that you can use, where there are some soft password managers that you can use to ensure that don't get logged out of your own system as soon as possible. Handover, I would please like to talk also about one thing. We talked about email safety, and the other speaker has mentioned email safety, that emails can be encrypted. I want you to know that it's not just your own cybersecurity that is paramount here. When you're dealing, you as a lawyer and a law firm, you're dealing with a tripartite and hydra-headed problem. There's you as an individual or a law firm, there's your clients, and there's also third-party vendors. So for example, you have a cleaner that's coming to clean your office. He comes in and he plugs his phone into, there's no light. Okay, can I charge it on your laptop? The person is not educated enough to try to steal your data. But what you don't realize is that USB cord you're using is not just a charger, but it's a tool for them to steal information, just because they know that cleaner has access to your law firm. So what I would like to end this note is that you must, while you're sending out, you're encrypting, you're implementing the things that are being taught here today, you're making sure that your emails are encrypted, access to your cPanel, if you have that, or your own emails are also encrypted, but then also engage with the third party, engage with your vendor and all of that, and ask them if their emails are encrypted, ask them for their cybersecurity policies, in order to make sure that what emails you're sending out is the same email they are receiving. We also can do the traditional means of calling them to engage with them and ask them to verify the figures that they are seeing on the email. Before I hand over to the moderator, I would like to mention that the MBA ICLE is awarding ICLE points for attendees at this particular session. So please endeavor to click on the link below and fill the form so that you can get your due CLE points, which are very necessary to show improvements. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Over to you, Stanley.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was very amazing. Yes, so the MBA ICLE is awarding points for attendance at this session. So if you're a lawyer and you are here, please do not forget. It's very important for you. Please fill the form. Thank you so much. So going back to Mr. Abdulrahman.
Yeah.
And also, before I forget, the NBA guidelines on cybersecurity we will share the guideline, I think, at the end of this session. At the end of this session, I will share the guideline. Yeah. So going back to Abdurrahman, sir.
Yeah.
Some firms resist going online due to security fears. I mean, is this justified, or is this basically because of poor cybersecurity awareness?
Yes, it's partially justified if firms are afraid or they are scared to go fully online. Okay, and this is actually due to what you mentioned, due to lack of proper cybersecurity awareness, which lead to absence of proper security measures. So the justify is quite concerned because if your process is online, right, so which means that those particular process is vulnerable to attacks, is vulnerable to data breach and other threats that we've mentioned earlier. So it's a valid concern for legal firms, right? But with the implementation of the right security controls, right? So this can actually, then there will be no need for organization to hesitate, to go fully online. So yes, we need to make sure that there is proper security awareness. I'm really glad because I'm not aware that MBA actually has a cybersecurity guideline. I'm sure CBN has a cybersecurity framework for banks to implement, and it's actually good music to my ears hearing now that the MBA also have cybersecurity guidelines for law firms to implement. So if law firms can be able to implement these guidelines, which I believe I must include things like doing risk assessment, assessing your third party, because most of these services you're going to use to go online are mostly third party services, third parties applications, right? So you need to make sure that those third party applications that you are using are actually very good and very secure. They are also following best security practices. And then another thing that is important is to also make sure that for law firms, what should also be in your guideline. I've not seen it. But I'm just trying to make recommendations on things that should be there. You should have a proper security, cybersecurity audit and assessment, right? Penetration testing, right? You should test your network because you should attack your network the same way an attacker will attack it, right? So there are organizations like our own, we actually provide this type of services, right? We help you to test, to be able to know that we'll be able to identify the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities that are existing in your organization, in your network or in your infrastructure, and we'll be able to also provide recommendations on how to mitigate them, right? So yes, so it's very important also to choose secure digital tools. Encrypting your emails, just like I said, is part of the services we provide, using digital signature.
Hello, Mr. Abdurrahman, are you there?
Yes, I'm back. I don't know. I was logged out. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm back. Maybe due to network issues. So yes, so it's important for the fear is justified partially, right? But with proper cybersecurity awareness, implementation of the right security tools, and also INMS also mentioned ISO 27001, right? So it's also quite important for law firms to, because when you have this particular certification, right, your clients would be, let me say, they will trust you more. They know that you are complying to the global best practices for cybersecurity, right? So if it's something, it's also one of the things that we actually recommend that you should also have in that particular guideline for organization to comply to regulatory, also to comply to regulatory framework. We are also aware of the, I'm sure we are all aware of the NDPA or NDPR, as I think it's NDPA now. You also, as law firms, we also need to make sure that you comply to them, right? You also need to make sure that we comply to those regulatory requirements, so that if there's a data breach, you know that you're supposed to give NDPC an update. You need to inform them within 72 hours of the breach. You need to inform the customers that there's a breach, and also the investigation is going to be carried out, and if the firm is found wanting, it may also lead to some fines from the NDPC. But when you have all these processes, when you have all these in place in the guideline, organization, legal firm, law firms will know what they need to put in place, and there will be no reason again for you to be afraid or for you to be scared to go fully online, because whether we like it or not, either now or later, most of our processes will be fully automated. So it's now a matter of if you want to be left behind or if you want to be on the moving train. So thank you. So that would be my submission for the question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Although we have questions coming in, but very soon we'll have time for questions from the audience. Very soon we'll have time for questions from the audience. I think we are about to end the session. Mrs. Anime, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes,
Anima,
I can hear you. And
okay, okay.
So, message. Yes, the name is in the message. Yeah, I can hear you.
In the message. Okay, ma'am, sorry. So yeah, this one is for you. So some Nigerian courts still hesitate to accept electronically signed documents. What is the best approach for lawyers facing resistance to digital signatures in litigation?
Well, it's a bit unfortunate to hear that, because after COVID, we had gone a lot. We had taken a leap of over 50%. So to be honest, in my time as the digital MBA chairperson, I did not experience that. What I experienced was that the judiciary was very keen on pushing education of artificial intelligence technology, cybersecurity, judges in the various states, the various, and there was good feedback of how, really well received, So I did have the experience that there will be certain courses day and age that will reject.
Hello, Mark, are you there? No, I think she just I think she's having issues with her network. Hello, have you joined?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm so sorry about that. I just
Yes,
keep getting
yeah,
jumped off the call.
Sorry,
Okay,
network.
I think what we need to in those cases where it's mentioned that the court is unwilling to accept electronic signatures, has that been clearly and blatantly stated that because it's an electronic signature, we do not believe? Or are there discrepancies? Because like we initially alluded to in the initial part of this conversation, somebody is signing an electronic signature and he just makes a scribble on it with the flat part of his finger. He expects that to be accepted. When the next document that he's also going to file in, it has an electronic signature that is completely different. So what you're presenting to the court matters. So I cannot speak to it as a case-by-case basis. But what my experience is that the members of the judiciary, all the ones that have engaged with at different levels, have been very excited about, electronic signature, especially because the Nigerian law is not the debunked. There's no electronic signature as well as digital signature. Both of them are allowed right now. There's no law that is in place to refuse that. So if a lawyer has that particular matter, I think you can bring it to the NBA itself for support before you can go to the NBA itself, the national body, for support to say, look, this is what I had presented. I have this particular, I mean, where the committee on technology committee here can always support you if what you're presenting to the courts is reasonable. Like I said, it's a case-by-case basis, but my own experience has been the judiciary are well exposed and are willing to continue to be exposed to webinars such as this, as well as in-depth training going on. That's what I expect. What I would now speak to would be the seemingly lack of implementation within the court system, within the court environment of technology. That I can speak to. So I see a lot of talk, I see a lot of enthusiasm, personal enthusiasm and all of that. But actually, you know, putting the money down to see if we can scale up our judicial services in terms of note-taking, in terms of record keeping, right? In terms of even communication between the court and its and the other parties, either the clients directly or not the client directly, but the lawyers who are coming to engage with the court. There's hardly, you know, investment in infrastructure. So the education is there about what we need to do. There's interest in they want to implement it if they can, but the budget as well as the implementation of that is not widespread across Nigeria. You can see it in pocket places like in Bauchi. You can see a certain part of it in Port Harcourt. It's not really, it's just a third-party engagement with the courts. You can also see a bit of it, I think it was in Bayelsa, you know, and also a particular court in Akwa Ibom State. So you can see that there's enthusiasm, there's interest, there's willingness, but there's a lack of infrastructure. Without infrastructure, how are they going to do this? Now, it is important that the NBA as a body should encourage that infrastructure should be implemented. This is my suggestion. I've always been an advocate of this, but even for government position. One, it now becomes to initiate, to investigate, just as we have our physical libraries. We have to indicate that the people applying for, the lawyers that are applying for sonship should have electronic libraries. The lawyers that are applying for sonship should have also what I call a duty of technology competency certificate, meaning they've attended webinars like this. That's why it's important to fill those forms. They've attended webinars like this. They've also implemented what they have learned from those webinars. We need to be able to see in the year 2025, this is what this law firm or this lawyer has implemented. That is why he's entitled, has passed the criteria for him to be done. If we can do that for sonship, if we can also do that for people to be elevated, either to be appointed as judges or to be elevated from one judicial level to another, I think this question would be, we can kill it from roots. So instead of us to just keep talking about, let's start dealing with issues. Just enact a policy, a guideline, a law that indicates it as mandatory for them to have set levels of a duty of technology competency certificates, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 1 should. What can you do? Are you can make Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, as simple as that. Your law firm on the cloud, are you using Google Clouds? Are you using Microsoft? What cloud are you using? Microsoft Azure? What are you using? And if you're engaging with clients who are within the tech space, are you conversant with GitHub, are you with Trello, Asana? So those are going to be put in various categorizations, right? Once that conversation actually happens, because now people would now, as a matter of personal excellence, now want to actually get those certifications. We talked about ISO 27001. Why have law firms not, you know, or lawyers not? The criteria for one is not that difficult. All they have to do is create policies. Once the policies are in place, so anybody can ask about these policies, it exists. Just like you have the NDPA policy that talks about data protection, you have that on your you have that as a framed, once anybody walks into your office. You also have the framed policy about that your environment is being recorded, you know, the CCTV camera is framed. There's a law that you are not just doing that because they feel like doing it. There's a law for that. Working at the HSE policies. Why can't we see cybersecurity policies that we've been put in that this law firm or has put in place? So when we start taking personal responsibility for those things, then we can now start seeing a difference in those areas. So that's my own opinion to that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So
All
let's
before my question, sorry, I would like to add a bit of point on what you have said, most especially on the electronic signature part. So to make electronic signature more acceptable to the courts or more acceptable in court, I think what the NBA and this committee should do is that we need to educate the courts on, or educate other lawyers and also the court on how digital, most especially qualified digital signature can be acceptable in the court of law. So why do I say this? There's a legal framework already, just like INMS said, that accept the use of electronic signature, which is the Evidence Act, the Cybersecurity Act, and stuff like that. So, but it's important to know that also why the court might be skeptical is that the burden of proof. Okay, how you can prove that this signature is actually used by the signer, that's where it gets tricky. But this problem has been solved by using a qualified digital signature, because a qualified digital signature ensured three things. Okay, the first thing is that it ensures authentication, which is that it verifies the identity of the signer, which was part of my earlier explanation. Before a qualified digital signature will be given to you, a due diligence must have been done by the certificate authority, right? We are going to check your document. Your digital identity is going to be used to issue you a digital certificate, which you are going to be using to sign every document. So that means that it verifies, your identity is verified. And before you can sign, right, it goes through a process to ensure that no other person is signing except you are the one signing. So there is like a two-factor or a multi-factor authentication before you can sign. So let's say, for example, if you want to use we have a qualified digital signature called Simply Sign. If you are to use it to sign a document, right, you need to generate a token from the application on your mobile. And then you also need to input a PIN, which is personally loaned to you before you can sign a document. So if those two things are not there, except if someone points a gun to your head and says, sign this document, or someone is able to steal your phone, able to generate the token and also know your PIN, which I don't think is possible because the PIN is like 6 characters, all digits. And so except someone put a gun to your head, typically, they can't use that certificate to sign on your behalf, which helps us to ensure non-repudiation. So this helps to prevent the signer from denying that they signed the document, right? And also another thing that will actually make this much more easier for everyone is that any document signed by a qualified digital signature cannot be altered. What do I mean by it? Can be altered actually, but if you alter it, it renders the signature invalid. The moment someone change a slight bit of that document, even if maybe it's a space bar or they add a character to that particular, if it's a 1,000-page document, a 100-page document, a 10-page document, if a character is changed on that particular document, it renders the signature invalid. And the application is going to tell you that this particular file has been tampered with or has been changed after the document has been signed. So if the NBA and the SLP can be able to educate or enlighten or do a proper awareness of this particular functionality of a qualified digital signature to the court and also to the other lawyers, I think this will solve the problem that may arise in whatsoever way with using digital signature in our court. So that's what I want to add to the previous answer in the message I responded to. So you can take my own question now.
Yeah. Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for the audience. It's time for the audience to ask their question.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or raise your hand so you can speak, or you can drop it in the chat. So we have one question here.
There are some questions in the chat section. So maybe you can just go through that.
Okay,
but while you're doing that, I just
let me
Yeah, while you're just going through the questions, I just wanted to make certain points that I think it's salient, certain salient points, so that the attendees today can benefit from that. If you've not been doing even your regular electronic signature, if you've not done that at all, I would like you to start with that. At least be aware of what are the various apps that you can use for internal memos, so that when you get home, let's say you close at law firms, lawyers go home at 9 o'clock, for example. Let's say you're leaving the office at 9 o'clock and you remember that there's an important document that needed to be signed, which your secretary, your staff has sent to you. You want to execute that document at home, but it's an internal memo. It's something that is, is not going to be, does not have a lot of weight to it. There are tools that you can use to start as an initial person. We won't have a clear understanding of that because we've not discussed the consequences of electronic signature here, and I would like to discuss that. So I would like for people who are not very conversant with the electronic signatures to start with just regular signatures, just start with that for internal memos and things like that, right? Then now let's go to the consequences of these signatures. Once you append your signature, you go through the due diligence and all of that, it is going to be difficult to challenge that in courts. Now, if you have the habit of maybe handing your phone over to somebody else to say, look at this meme that I saw, and you're laughing about it, it's something that they can actually take advantage of you, and it has to do with your work, it has to do with your name, it has to do with your integrity. That's one. This is not something that you hand over to somebody else to assist you to do. And I say this because until 2024 January, I had lawyers, because we're part of the training, but I had lawyers get through to me to say, oh, look, please, can you help me generate a Zoom link? I have a meeting with my client now and I can't do that. Now, do you understand the consequence of that? What you're doing is you're bringing a third party who is not a party to that, who should not be a party to the conversation, and I would have access to the conversation between you and your client. It kept happening, not just to me, but with other people. So I would like to state categorically, please, if you've not been engaging with digital signature, electronic signature, you've not been doing any of that, and you're in this call today, and your idea is, oh, let me just jump on it. Start with internal memos, start with little things that will not cost you much. Develop the habit of not, giving out your phones, or separate your phones. There's the work phone and there's the house phone. Anything that has to do with the work phone, nobody has access to that. It has to do with Face ID, it has to do with thumbprint, it has to do also with password, it has to do with lock folders and all of that. That's one. Two, also do your own investigation about who you want to host your electronic signature. Why do I say this? Because as a lawyer, and especially if you are going to do something in group, if I, as a lawyer, decide to sign something and nobody knows who my platform is, right? If you hack me, you hack me. If you get information about me, you get information about me. But if you have done your own due diligence and decided that these are the people who have shown through time and season, they are qualified and they are tested and locally and internationally, before you jump on the bandwagon, because if you have 100 lawyers on a particular platform and it becomes publicly known that lawyers are using this is where their electronic signatures are, the risk is higher if you have not done your due diligence. Now, if I'm using Adobe Fill and Sign and I do not put Esquire behind my name and my documentation there is not a legal document, if somebody is hacking my Adobe Fill and Sign, he's only trying to access me as far as he knows. If he gets lucky, he may see other lawyers there. So I want to do that because a lot of lawyers, we tend to go with the crowd. And when we go with the crowd, it's fantastic. I want us to jump on this bandwagon, but I want us to make an independent and well-informed decision of why you are choosing this particular certificate authority to append your signature. That's two. Number three, I would like to state something here very clearly. Please, can you not use the same signature that you're using on your banks and all of that to be what you're going to be using for electronic signatures? This is a live case. I have a friend, walked into an office, and because I had done some training there together, everybody was laughing with me, gisting with me. They left their laptops open. And they came to me, and somebody called me. I said, oh, please, can you come and show me that thing you were talking about? Can you come and show me something? I said, you need to attend level 2 training, because you cannot, no matter how much you like me, you can't call me to come behind your desk. It's a no-no. Then when I got there, I actually discovered that the signature that he was using electronically or digitally, he was the exact same signature which he was using on every other platform. You are putting yourself at a very huge risk. So I would like us to just think about that while the other questions are coming in. So Dago, I have a question here from Laura. I don't know if I can just address that. Or would you like it to, Abdulrahman? I can just go ahead and answer. Okay. So the question here says, when you sign a document in your iPad with your pencil, is that an electronic signature? Yes, it is an electronic signature. It's your something on an electric. It's not your physical signature with your pencil. So anything that is on a device, you can say first of all. Like, let me just try to break it down so that we are not confused about it. There's electronic signature, then quote unquote, there's certified signature. Just think about it in those two directions. There's the one that you just signed because you created the signature in your head. It has not been certified. Then there's the other one which has to go through due diligence. Let's forget all about big names so that we don't get confused. So yes, it is in simple language. Yes, if you sign a particular document with your iPad, yes, the same thing apply in the physical reality where we sign every page. Please sign every page on your iPad. Put your name, put your signature, and then put the date and time.
Hello? So I think she was logged out. Let us give her a moment to be back.
The second question was, if a class with strict procedures generates an electronic signature for you have been that your data, you are generating data from basically. If that person gives you authorization to use their data, the authorization is for a particular purpose. So if you're generating data for the purpose of a survey, you can't use that data for the purpose of marketing, for example. You have to get permission from that person in order to be able to use it for a second for an alternate, even though it's similar, but for an alternate purpose. Now, if this client has already mentioned or proved that he has strict procedures, they would be expecting you to send an email asking for approval for the signature to be used for other documents. That would make them know that they can't use. So if you a signature in the year 2025 January, then later I just call you up quickly and say, oh, please, I've sent you that, I've approved the document. I've approved this document, I've approved it. You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I think she will continue with that station when she joins us. So let's Mr. Abdulrahman.
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, yes. So there's this question from Mr. Israel Usman.
Okay.
He stated that he thought that the world is moving away from SSL because it is no longer adequate to cope with today's security issues. I don't know if you would love to respond to that.
No, the world is actually now moving away from SSL. There are higher versions of SSL right now, right? So before we used to have version 1, now we have 2 and 3 is upcoming. But there is a perception. The actual thing the SSL is meant for is for trust, right? SSL is more for trust than for security. right? There are other ways in which websites can be secured, right? Though SSL provides security also, it encrypts your transmission when you're sending something to that. But the main essence of SSL certificate is for trust. And that was why in my earlier presentation, I mentioned the three types of SSL certificate, which is they use mostly the three certificates use mostly the same, almost the same method of encryption, right? Technically, they encrypt the same way, but the level of trust they give to your visitors is what differentiates them. So just like I said previously, for the DV certificate, the only thing that will be verified is to confirm that you have control over the domain of that particular website. So they are not checking if you're actually a fraudster, if you're a representative of that company. I can open a website for SLP now and say SLP for lawyers and stuff like that, and I'll buy a DV certificate. It's going to work, and it's going to show you this particular site is secured, right? And people will think it's okay, but when you use an OV certificate, which is an organization validation certificate, that means that before that certificate was issued to you to use on that particular website, we didn't only verify the domain, we also verified the identity of the person that is trying to, that is requesting for that particular certificate to be used on that particular portal. So which means if there's a problem, we know that it is Mr. A that requested for that certificate. We are sure, we also check the registration document for that particular organization to be sure that they are who they claim they are. So SSL, the aim of SSL mostly is for trust, right? It's also for security, but it's more for trust, and it's not moving away. It's SSL is still the only technology for now that protects your website. But because some people, maybe developers will tell you DV is the same, you will see it's the same when it will tell you, it will give you the padlock and it will show you it's encrypted. Yes, it will show you the padlock, it will show you it's encrypted, but if it's a DV, anybody can request for a DV. So that's why it's very important to understand this, and most especially for law firms, the minimum level of certificate law firms should use is OV certificate for their website. They can also use EV certificate, which is extended validation, which verify additional information, but the least law firms should use or lawyers should use is OV certificates, which actually build trust between you and your visitors. So SSL we are not moving away from SSL. It is still here to stay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I don't know the person that asked that question, but not the answer to that. Yeah. So we have another question from Mary Odo. I think this one is to you. She said, how can we access the app for the qualified digital signature?
Okay, the app for the qualified certificate, before you can actually use the app, you have to be onboarded. You have to get the certificate, right? But we can have maybe like a demo session for your members, for them to be able to see it. But if they want to know more about the product, I'm going to type in the website for the product in the chat box, which is certum.ng. From there, you'll be able to get more information about the qualified digital certificate, which is called SimplySign. So I just typed that in the box, and I hope I send it to everyone. Did I?
I can't find it.
Okay, sorry. Let me. Okay.
Maybe you send it again.
Okay, I'm sending to everyone now. Yeah. Yeah, so I think you should have it now. Yeah.
Thank you. I would love to know if Mrs. Inemiset has joined us. Are you there, ma'am? Okay. I think she's having issues with that next one. So that would be the okay. So that would be the last question. That'll be the last question for today. And okay, so that'll be the last question for today. Wow, what a session! I learned a lot today, a lot on cybersecurity. Okay, okay. Um, just give me a minute.
Okay. Thank you for muting me.
You're welcome. I think that was a mistake. So you are addressing the question before you logged out. I mean, I would love you to
Yeah.
quickly run it.
No, I think I hit the salient points there where it meant that we needed to be more aware before we take decisions that can affect us and affect our firms. And we're very excited about this session that has taken place. We're also excited about Centrum, who has come in to come and show us their products. So we can always check it out, so that you can make yourself more aware of what is available out there and how it may help you to improve your legal services. That's just what I wanted to say. But we also would like to request that those who have attended this session, if we as the MBA SLP Technology Committee can, especially those that stay to the end of the session, right, now give them level 2 or expose them to other should I say, to other caucus mission, because we can see that they are interested, we can see that they are willing to implement. If we are able to drill down and engage with them,
Oh, I think you have got that again into the network. The network. So let's move further. So let's have a recap of what we learned today. Personally, I did learn a lot. Mr. Abdurrahman showed us how cybersecurity risks like forgery can be tackled. Cybersecurity risks like forgery of electronic signature can be tackled, while Mrs. Enemies, emphasize training and innovation, in boosting adoption and access to justice. From this session, it's very clear that in Nigeria, we need robust frameworks, awareness, and tech to build our digital camp. And this thanks to everyone here. And I'll be handing over the session to Mr. Fernandez for the closing remarks.
Well, thank you all very much. Thank you very much, Sodago Abadi. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to everybody that has attended. This was a very, very interesting session. Before I close, I'd like to make a point. So I've had a conversation with Abdurrahman and his team about the qualified digital signatures. I mean, the most significant problems that we face in our profession right now is that for courts, most of the documents that we have to produce have to be physically submitted as opposed to electronically submitted. However, fortunately, there's been conversation ongoing with the Judiciary Technology Committee, Information Technology Committee of the NJC, as well as others, to ensure that we are able to, electronically, to a large extent, so file documents that way. Because one of the most significant parts of it, of the qualified digital signatures have been formed, or as I've seen, is that if I send the document to you and the document has been signed, if there's an alteration, once you open the document, or whatever, whether you're using Adobe, whatever it is you're using, sees that this document has been altered. And so for evidentiary purposes, especially for evidentiary purposes, it's very clear. You know, there are times when you want to upload certain documents and you're uploading documents, and before you upload, you have to alter one part. Maybe you change a page, you remove a page, you do one small thing, and these things are easy to do. But this ensures that once a document is signed and sent and tendered electronically, um, we can what do you call it? We can be sure that it's authentic and the document that was signed. A very valuable use for that would be between clients and for transactional use. So you want to send a document to your client wants to send a document, or you want to sign a document, or between lawyers or between organizations. It's easy to tell the authenticity of that document based on the signature, not just electronic signature rather, but qualified electronic signature, which indicates when the document was signed, under what circumstances, if it was altered after it was signed, etc. That clarifies certain points. Now, for courts, even though right now much of the documents that we use for courts are physically submitted, in when you're tendering the documents, I mean, it's again the fact that the qualities of that document can be indicated in your witness statement or not for any other thing to specifically explain, you know, how this document is qualified, how it came about. These are some things that we can explore for the purpose of giving evidence in court. However, for transactions, I think it's a very significant um, I think is very significant. A lot has been discussed in this meeting, and I'm really grateful. I'm sorry that I'm talking a bit too much. I've said a lot of things. I just wanted to put that point together. Just a reminder before we close: if you have not filled the form, please, the form is out there, the ICLE form. Fill it so that you can get your ICLE points. Remember that under the RPC, as lawyers, we are required to get a number of ICLE points per month, depending on our year of call. Also, remember to register for the SBL conference, SLP conference rather. If you're a young lawyer if you're a young lawyer, you can get free registration for up to 100 young lawyers will get it. The requirements, if you check your emails and check the SBL website, sorry, SLP website rather, you'll find a lot of all the other information about it. So please do well to register, both for the conference and for the SLP. Next, with a link was shared earlier, which includes the details of the where because all the webinars are posted on YouTube, so you can find them immediately after. Now, as you can see, it's being uploaded on YouTube. You can find them immediately after on our channel. The link will be shared once again, so you can find it and see just not just for this one, but all the previous sessions that we have and future sessions to be uploaded there. So immediately we finish, you can go there. Thank you all very much for a wonderful session. Thank you very much for attending. It's not easy. It's a busy time of the day, 2 o'clock to 3:30, three thereabouts. So please, thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Oh, before I close, I'd like to mention somebody that was not on this meeting, Damilola Alabi. So she's been very useful. She and Fadekemi Otun both have been very wonderful part of these sessions. Without them, nothing could have worked. They have been at the background, when you need a flyer, where you need technology setup, where you need to change certain things, where you need information. You can see some of the items that are being posted on the chat box now are from Fadekemi. She's giving us all the information upon request. So thank you very much, and Damilola Alabi as well. I will now paste the link to the where you can find all our videos so that you can have access to them. At the end of this session, there is a survey that you receive on your computer once you log out. Please fill the survey. So it's important that we know how we can make things better for you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and have a good day.